can I put my company into creditors voluntary liquidation if there's a winding up petition? So technically you can, it's just a lot more time critical and a lot more complicated. So it will all depend on how soon the hearing is, which is where the judge makes an order to put the company into compulsory liquidation or not. So it depends when that hearing is. If it's imminent, then most likely you won't be able to do the creditors voluntary liquidation. There's lots of factors involved in this. So what you need to do is, as soon as you're aware that there's a winding up petition, you need to contact someone like myself, a licensed insolvency practitioner, so that we can look at it and see whether or not a creditors voluntary liquidation is possible. Now, by going down that process of signing the engagement letter or the notices to put it into creditors voluntary liquidation does nothing. That doesn't stop the winding up petition at all. So you need to work with the proposed liquidator. So if you come to me, we'll put a strategy in place, but we have to deal with that hearing that's coming up. So typically the outcome of that hearing would for it to be either adjourned, the order made and it enters into compulsory liquidation, or that it's vacated, that the order isn't made. The judge will look at many factors, but also if what creditors are in support of this hearing and want it wound up. So creditors voluntary liquidation is possible, and the time frame to get it into creditors voluntary liquidation is relatively short. It can take about 3 to 4 weeks, whereas if a winding up petition has just been obtained, we may have a couple of months depending on the court and other factors. So the creditors voluntary liquidation process is quicker depending on when your hearing is, but we would also arrange for solicitors to attend the hearing and ask, that the order not be made to allow the company to enter into creditors voluntary liquidation, whilst we would also liaise with the creditor who is taking this action and ask for them to withdraw their action against the company. Now, they may do that because it will be costing them money to go ahead with that winding up compulsory order. So if you're saying, well, actually I'm going to put it into creditors voluntary liquidation, and you've engaged services with an independent licensed insolvency practitioner like myself, then they may agree to that because they'll see that you're a responsible director taking matters seriously and taking action. So it's a very complicated scenario. But what I would say is contact an insolvency practitioner like myself as soon as you can. Do not delay. Have an agreed strategy with the proposed liquidator and make sure you action it. As I said, time is absolutely critical here. So once you've got that strategy, make sure you work as quickly as possible. And then the proposed liquidator will work with solicitors and they will contact the petitioning creditor to see if we can get that creditor's voluntary liquidation through. But you can't just assume that if there's a winding up petition, just starting the process to do the creditor's voluntary liquidation will throw out that winding up petition. Doesn't work like that. So contact someone like myself as soon as you can and then we'll come up with a strategy. Okay, thank you.